The midday sun streamed through wide bar windows, painting golden squares across the floorboards. Conversations buzzed in the air. Glasses clinked, and laughter spilled freely. Then, without warning, the room cracked into stunned silence. A biker, towering and leather-clad, swung his hand across the cheek of a young black woman at the counter. The slap rang out sharp and cruel. Heads turned. A few stifled gasps escaped. The brightness of the afternoon made the act seem even more brazen, almost unreal. She didn't flinch. Her cheek burned red under the sunlight, but her eyes stayed calm, steady, unbroken. She was no ordinary woman. She was a Marine, and the entire bar was about to learn what that meant. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Alyssa Carter, a decorated Marine who had carried herself through battles far harsher than this. She had stopped in that bar for nothing more than a glass of iced tea and a moment of peace, letting the hum of conversation and the glow of daylight wash over her. But now, all eyes were on her, waiting to see how she would respond. Inside her chest, a storm brewed. Every muscle remembered her training, yet her conscience whispered caution. Strength wasn't in how hard she struck, but in how well she controlled it. The biker smirked, leaning closer, his shadow stretching across her glass like a stain. He expected fear, submission, maybe even tears. What he got was a voice like tempered steel. "You think strength is in your fist," Alyssa said. Her words clear and resonant in the bright stillness. "But real strength is in what you hold back." Sunlight caught her cheekbone, highlighting the calm resolve etched in her expression. The crowd hushed, drawn into the gravity of her presence. He wasn't finished. Emboldened by the watching eyes, he shoved her shoulder roughly, his laugh echoing too loudly in the quiet. Alyssa's pulse surged, and in that instant, flashes of desert heat and battlefield dust rose in her mind. She remembered the blinding sun, the grit of sand, the commands shouted through chaos. She had been trained to defend, never to strike first. But was restraint still noble when injustice played out in plain daylight, in front of so many witnesses? Whispers spread like wind through tall grass. Some muttered for her to walk away. Others quietly urged her to put him in his place. Alyssa set her glass down on the counter, the condensation sliding into a small pool on the polished wood. Her hand trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of choice. Then the biker lunged again, fist cocked high. The brightness of the sun seemed to slow the moment, each dust mote hanging in the golden light. But Alyssa moved before his strike landed. Swift, precise, controlled. She caught his wrist mid-air, twisted, and with one seamless motion, brought him crashing down to his knees. His leather jacket squeaked against the floor, the sound cutting through the stunned silence. The bar froze, chairs scraped as people stood. Murmurs rippled like a wave. And there in the clear, merciless light of day, the once feared biker looked small, helpless, captured in the grip of the woman he had underestimated. "Apologize," Alyssa said, her voice steady, her stance firm. No shouting, no rage, just command. A hush fell deeper, pressing in on him heavier than her grip. His pride fought hard, but the gaze of the crowd bore down. Finally, with gritted teeth, he let out the word, "Sorry." Relief and respect surged through the room. Applause erupted, first from one table, then another, until the entire bar was alive with clapping and cheers. Not for the fight, but for the discipline, the courage, the dignity Alyssa had shown under the glaring sun. She released him, and straightened, her cheeks still flushed, but her spirit blazing brighter than ever. Because real strength isn't in striking harder, it's in standing taller. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. As Alyssa stepped outside, the afternoon light wrapped her in warmth. The same sun that had watched her march across battlefields now followed her out of that bar. She walked away unchanged, yet everyone inside knew they would never forget her. If this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comments, and if you believe in courage that shines even in the brightest light of day, subscribe now, because the quietest heroes often leave the loudest echoes.